guys, so that clip was actually from last night. I got way too excited and I tried to come out here and fly after the sun went down and like clipped a ghost branch even with HD and busted up an antenna and had to go home, whatever. It was like dark as soon as I crashed. So anyway, I came back this morning. Real quick before I get started, let me just kind of show you guys the build. So this is my Rotor Riot HD1. It's running the newbeedrone Infinity stack, and it's kind of like a nod to the Infinity Gauntlet in Avengers. And it's cool because there's an LED on each corner of the ESC, so it lights up. Let me see if I can show you that. I don't have a LiPo with me right now. They're in the car getting warm. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you guys some different things I did with the build, maybe just to help you out. I rotated the stack 180 degrees so I could run the power wire out the front just to make more room for the air unit, so the air unit's not smashed in there. So you see how you don't have to worry about the power wire pressing up against the air unit, and that way the MMCX connectors aren't like pressed up against the rear standoffs. And I'm also using 25 millimeter standoffs for the top plate. I figured I might as well get it as low as possible, and that's about as low as it can go because you can see there's not a ton of room for the camera, you know, if you were to go lower than 25. And then of course I'm running my Emax freestyle motors in 2400 kV. But I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. You know, like I started to build it Tuesday night after work, and because the stack is plug and play, it was super easy. Like I just had to solder up my power wire, my motor wires, and then my crossfire receiver, and it was done. I think it took about maybe an hour. So the way this came about, so this is the Rotor Riot HD1, and this is actually my first DJI HD specific frame, because I've been running the hyperlow, like really I just wanted to get the HD system, and I just kind of slapped it in whatever quad it would fit in. So I was flying with that for a while, and Drew and Chad Capper, started messaging me, and we started going back and forth just about HD and how excited we were. And then eventually, after they announced the HD1, Drew messaged me again, and he asked me if I wanted to try one, and I said sure. And it's funny because, like, if you look at it, it's not a really fancy frame. It's like there's not like a lot of crazy cutouts. There's just a top plate, a bottom plate. There's the X brace for the arms that mount on the bottom, and it looks kind of plain, and it's inexpensive. I think it's $45. And I remember when they announced it, people were like hating on it. They were complaining like oh, it's too cheap for HD, and like I don't really understand. But I said sure, I'd try one. And it's funny because now that I'm flying HD, and now that I've bought a DJI product, these are things that I never thought I would do. So it's kind of like opened my mind to what could I possibly be missing out on by being maybe closed-minded. So historically, this frame would not have appealed to me, just because it's kind of heavy, and it is kind of plain. Like in the past, I've used lightweight frames for freestyle, for everything, and this build with a 5S 1300 comes in at about 730 grams. And again, I'm running 5S on 2400 kV, so the power to weight is still like 11 to 1. And you might be, thinking like that's really heavy. But the reason why this frame is heavy is because the arms are really wide, and they're really thick. And what that does is, and when I got this and put it together, I started to get pretty excited. What that does is it makes it really, really, really stiff. And if you know anything about flight filtering, like beta flight filtering, if your frame is lightweight and kind of flexy, it creates resonance from the motors that wreaks havoc on the filtering. And it puts jello in your GoPro footage. And so for years, I've been flying these lightweight frames, and I've been fighting jello. I've been fighting vibes, like even with Betaflight 4.1, it's so bad that if your frame has a lot of resonance, it'll just kind of like wave through the air when you're flying. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. So even though this frame is heavy, I'm starting to understand that like you can't have it all. You can't have lightweight and low resonance, if that makes sense. So like I built this Tuesday night or Monday night, and I spent all day yesterday flying it and tuning it, and I just like started to get so pumped because my GoPro footage is like super clean. The flight performance is really clean. It's just I'm pumped on this frame because like I've probably never had GoPro footage that clean without really having to mess with the filters. You know what I mean? And then setting up the Infinity Stack is super easy. It's already got the right version of BL Heli to run D-Shot, or not D-Shot, but RPM filtering. And I'll touch on the stack again. So the thing with the Infinity Stack is it's DJI ready, so it's plug and play. And I think it's got a 12 volt BEC to power the air unit. The problem that people have been having with these DJI ready flight controllers is that the regulators that we've been using, even if they're like 12 volt, 2 amp, 24 watt, even though on paper they have enough power, they're not stable. So what happens is when you get voltage spikes from the ESC, from your active braking, it'll cause the regulators to brown out and cause the air unit to freeze on you while you're flying. So like we've been seeing a lot of people in the DJI FPV group complaining about freezing issues, and it's almost always when they're doing acro. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you need to like look at your power situation and get stable power to the air unit, because that's most likely your issue. And I've tested this. I've tried to get the HD system to freeze on my last build, and I couldn't do it. Like I dropped down to like 1 megabit and it would not lock up. It would get really bad, but I never got it to lock up. Most cases, guys out there, if you're watching, if you're having an issue where your video's freezing specifically when you're doing acro, you have a power problem, and you either need to get a different, standalone regulator, or look at, one of these updated DJI ready stacks like the Infinity Stack. This flight controller, I think, is revision D, so it's like the 3rd or 4th version, and it took a while for them to get this revision out because they were testing it so much. But anyway, I'm really excited about this. Thank you, Drew, for sending it out. Thank you, newbeedrone, for sending out the stack. And as always, thank you, Emax, for sending out the freestyle motors. I've been waiting to throw these on here. I'm going to leave you guys with some footage. This thing just flies super, super clean. Just so you guys know, this is, I'm not going to record any DVR footage. This is all going to be GoPro footage, because I want to show you guys how clean the GoPro footage is. There's the, it's kind of hard to see because it's like daytime. There's the LEDs. I just wanted to add one quick thing, and it's not really a con per se, but the way that this camera mount is designed, if you can see that, it's like super flush for protection. You will catch the top corners of the top plate in your FPV feed with this frame. So this is not really the ideal frame if you just want to use the HD system for all of your footage. This is a frame if you fly HD and want to get good GoPro footage. That's kind of what this frame is for. It's it's a freestyle frame. All right, guys, that was the HD1. I know the flying is kind of subpar, but cut me some slack because it's like 35 degrees and I can't feel my fingers. It's amazing I didn't crash. But yeah, so you guys just saw the GoPro footage, and as you can see, even with the bright sunlight and looking over downtown Boise, it's just a super clean frame. And hopefully when I get home and watch this, I'm not lying and it's just like full of crap and jello. But yeah, I'm stoked to fly this. I had to switch to my True RC Axie antennas because I think I busted one of my Lumineer Axies last night when I crashed this thing. And I crashed it hard. And again, that kind of speaks to the power supply and the newbeedrone flight controller, because when I crashed inverted last night and then bounced, I still never lost goggle video. So the power supply in the stack is good, guys. All right. I'm gonna get home because I'm freezing, and thanks for watching.